Good morning, everyone. My name is Divanish Kanisan, and this is my MGT3024 Business Ethics and Sustainability Final Assessment. In this assessment, I examined the moral issues surrounding the fast fashion model, particularly the environmental and ethical concerns connected with shape. I completed the assessment in three sections. Section 1 analyzes the moral issue using three ethical perspectives. Section 2 critically evaluates AI-generated ethical responses through a 10-step drill-down process. And Section 3 presents and explains my overall work. Alright, for Section 1, I used the Anti-Slavery International article, The Fast Fashion Model, Why the Problem Goes Beyond Shein as my moral issue. My first analysis applied to Ross' prima facie duty theory. I considered several competing duties, particularly non-maleficence, beneficence, and justice. The key issue is that Shein has commercial interests, including profitability and satisfying consumer demand, but these interests can conflict with the environmental and social harm created by excessive production and consumption. My conclusion was that preventing serious harm and considering fairness should receive greater moral weight when commercial interests conflict with significant environmental damage. Next, I applied Kant's second formulation of categorical imperative. The main principle I considered was that people should be treated as ends in themselves and not merely as means. I apply this to workers, communities, and other stakeholders who may bear consequences of a business model designed around low cost and high volume production. My analysis therefore questioned whether people and communities are being treated with sufficient dignity when their welfare is compromised for commercial objectives. Third, I examined the issue through ethical relativism. This allowed me to consider how different societies may have different environmental standards, values, and expectations. However, concluded that cultural differences should not automatically justify serious environmental or human harm. Finally, I defend my own position. My own position is that Shin has responsibility to make a meaningful changes to its business practices. Profitability and consumer affordability are legitimate considerations, but they should not override serious and long-term environmental and social harm. Alright, for section 2, I used the same moral issue and provided the required article URL. I begin with assessment provided prompt asking the AI to critically evaluate the moral issues and explain what the right thing to do is. I then conducted 10 drill down prompts. Each subsequent prompt was designed to challenge, deepen, or evaluate the previous AI response rather than simply asking the AI to repeat its answer. Okay. For example, I examined the stakeholders affected by the environmental harm, including workers, local communities, consumers, and future generations. I then connected the discussion to ethical theories and conceptions of the module, including Ross duties, Kantian ethics, ethical relativism, and stakeholder perspectives. One important part of my critical reflection was recognizing the issue is not completely one sided. Shein has legitimate commercial interests. Consumers benefit from affordable fashion, and changes to production can also create economic consequences for workers and other stakeholders. However, through the drill drum process, I became more aware that these benefits do not automatically justify serious environmental harm. My, my thinking column records how understanding developed throughout this process. Rather than simply repeating the AI responses, I reflected on what I learned, where my original assumptions were limited, and how the ethical theories helped me evaluate the AI's reasoning. The process helped me move from a simple view that Fast fashion is environmentally harmful towards a more balanced ethical judgment involving competing stakeholders, duties, and responsibilities. So, so overall, this assessment helped me understand that business ethics is not simply about identifying whether an action is good or bad. The more important question is how competing moral responsibilities should be evaluated and justified. In section 1, the ethical theories provided different ways of examining the same moral issue. In section 2, the AI drill down process allowed me to challenge those ideas further and reflect on my own reasoning. My final position is that businesses such as Shin have a responsibility to reduce serious environmental harm and consider the interests of affected stakeholders, even when doing so may increase costs or reduce short term profitability. Alright, so to conclude, this assessment has allowed me to apply ethical theories, stakeholder perspectives, and critical thinking to a real business sustainability issue. It also helped me recognize the importance of questioning both AI generated reasoning and my own assumptions.